Hey everybody, welcome to the Raw Online Report Special Edition, joined by my cohort, Giles Tiger Thomas, all the way from out in the countryside of Great Britain there, UK. And before we get into New York Pro, I want to commend you, Giles. You and Rosie are killing this Muscle News Weekly, killing it. Literally every week gets better and better.
I love it. I love it, mate. I absolutely love it. I mean, I kind of work on it through the week. I kind of always every day I'm reaching out to people and I'm looking for, even just through looking through social media, you pick things up and I'll speak to people. I go on the forum and it kind of, I make little notes through the week. And then when it comes to Sunday, I'll start about 2:00, do the work, do kind of the schedule of the show, record at say 5:00, and then basically I think the last one took me 6 hours, and then I have to check it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. When I got to bed at 3:30 on Sunday night in the morning, up at 8, and I was buzzing. You know, I love it. It's fun. You know, we're a lot of fun putting it together. And did you like the MC Rascal rap?
Yeah, I did not know she had been a rapper at one point in her musical career, but
oh yeah, I think she liked to think so. Anyway,
she's definitely her music is definitely better these days. But you know, we all start somewhere. I think Rosie's a lot. You know, you sort of try to be funny. I think Rosie's funny when she's not trying.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, she had a line in one show where she said, "Bodybuilders look like giant babies in the off season." I just could not stop laughing because it's so true. But also thought it was hilarious how you couldn't fit any of the hats on your giant head. Yeah. I mean, you got and the athlete updates, the sound effects. I mean, it's such a cool show. I thank you guys so much for having it on MD.
Thank you. Rosie hates those sound effects, you know, but I said to her, I said, well, if you want to sit there for 6 hours till 1 a.m. editing it, yes, there are no sound effects, but I like them. I think they make me laugh.
I vote yes. Please keep the sound effects. So, okay, so we're like 3 days out. Geez, what's today? Tuesday? 4 days out from the New York Pro, which is the third biggest show of the year after the Olympia and the Arnold. Good lineup. So let's talk about some of these guys going in. Obviously, the open class is always the main draw. We're going to start with our boy from France. Will we see Lionel Baeki finally? Don't we ask this every damn time? We do, right? When will we see Lionel Baeki just nail it? Because this guy could easily could win this show, easily, if he dialed in that crazy condition from the back. But will we? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the issue is not conditioning. I think the issue is because at the Arnold Classic, I thought he looked absolutely tremendous. For me, I mean, he could have been 1 or 2 spots higher. It's when he turns to the back. I mean, from the front, he was holding his own with. I mean, Rowley was way off condition. He got 4th.
Yeah.
You know, I thought he was from the front, the side. I think he's very complete. He's got a fantastic structure, but it's just he loses it when he turns to the back. From literally, I mean, his back's impressive, his shoulders, his arms, but literally from the lower back down, he absolutely gets taken out by everybody else. Yeah. From the front and probably from the side, he can hold his own with anyone. I mean, he's tall, he's got a wide structure. And I don't think his conditioning's good. It's just there's a lack of development in the lower half from the back. And to me, he gets taken apart. But when you see him by himself, you just think, oh, my God, this guy's he's nailed it. Yeah. And then when you see him compared, that's when it all goes a bit horribly wrong for him. So he just needs to beef his ass and his hamstrings and his calves.
I mean, I wonder if he's aware, because I haven't really heard too many people aside from you actually make that observation. So I don't know if he's even aware that he's got a lagging posterior chain back that he needs to take care of.
It's gonna keep affecting his placings until he kind of develops those areas, I'm afraid.
So next up, let's talk about this young guy from Brazil who you first saw at San Marino, right? This is Patrick Tour's young guy, Rafael Brandao. And,
yes.
Wow, the shape and structure on this kid, just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tiny waist, flaring lats, flaring quads, peaked biceps. This kid's put together. I mean, do you think he's big enough to do any damage at this show?
When you say damage, what are you talking? Top 3, top 6?
let's say like top six. I would consider that doing pretty well at this show.
I can see him making top six.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw him at San Marino, and he was working with Patrick too. Then he's actually not working with Patrick anymore.
Oh.
He's working with Chris Aceto.
Okay.
So I said this in I think last week's show when I had a featured Raphael on it.
Yeah.
And I said, look, if you take somebody from an okayish junior, put 30 pounds on them, bring them into their first pro show, peak them perfectly, you consider that you've done everything in your power. I would consider that a success.
Yeah.
But he was in the first call out. He got 8th place. I personally had him around 5th place. And 6 foot tall, 245 pounds. What's that?
Yeah, don't worry about my phone. Keep talking about Raphael.
Yeah, 6 foot, 245 pounds, and he's got a fantastic physique. That front double bicep, real flair to his lats. He's really, you just think, okay, he just needs a bit more time. He's working with Chris Aceto now, and I think Chris probably won't. The thing is, he's 25 years old.
Wow, still a kid.
This kid cannot be rushed. If they rush him, they'll ruin him.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of like a classic bodybuilder in the open class.
Now, I don't want to get into all kind of gossip and stuff, but like you said, Patrick took him from a junior into a very good open competitor. Very good. If I'm a client, why would I move on to another coach? Doesn't really. I guess we'll never know.
Well, I've heard his coaches are expecting him to make top 10 at Olympia this year.
Wow. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. When I hear that, I think, yes, he is top 10 Olympia, but maybe not this year. Maybe when he and I don't think is if they get him too big too quick, he'll go to maybe 260 or whatever. Yeah. The thing is, the pictures I've seen, he does look good. He looks sharp. He looks detailed. He's beautifully proportioned. I just hope they've got like a 5-year plan rather than a 2-year plan, because if they rush him, he's going to fall by the wayside and his potential will not be realized. So he needs to slow, steady improvements. And I just hope that the sponsors and everyone around him have got the patience to let this kid grow at a nice, steady rate and also kind of be in the moment a bit and enjoy where he is, because he is like, this kid is top 6 Olympia material, but not yet.
Yeah.
He needs time to mature and add thickness and add quality size, not blow him up to, because everyone's in a hurry because they've seen how good this kid could be. I just get nervous when I see these young guys like that. I just think, oh shit, just give the kid time.
We could roll off a whole list of names just from the past few years that they were in a mad rush to put on size and it didn't work out. It just did not work out well. Not too many names. Everybody can rattle off a few of those names. Next guy I want to talk about is probably going to win this show, and that's no disrespect to anybody else. I shouldn't say that because there's a couple other guys here who definitely have a chance too. But Nathan DeAsha from UK, who probably should have been in the Arnold. He admits he should have done it, regretted not doing it, but here he is. He's back in New York, which I believe was his first pro show a couple of years ago.
2006.
Where he did Body Power first, and then he did this.
Yeah, he got second. I was at Body Power. He got second there to Rowley. Right. Very, very close, actually. He was very close to Rowley, who was training with it. That was his training partner at the time, obviously, because they were both from Q8. Yep. And then he took, I believe it was 5th at New York Pro, and many believed he should have been higher.
Right.
And then obviously that year he went on to win the Ferrigno, and obviously he's he's just done fantastically ever since.
So, we're looking at names here. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else could really push him. I mean, we got Juan Morel we'll talk about, Manuel Romero. There's some good guys, Ockham Williams, but Nathan, based on how well he's done and who he's beaten and what we know he's capable of looking like, he's a legit top 5, top 6 Mr. Olympia guy right now, in my eyes. So all he's got to do is bring in some condition, and I think he's got this wrapped up.
Well, we saw how he looked at the Jim Mannion show.
Pittsburgh,
yeah. We saw how he looked there, and that's obviously, if you're 2 weeks out, and I mean, unless he's done something really stupid in the last 2 weeks, he's brought his legs up. He's brought his legs up since the Olympia and the Arnold Europe, which he did need to bring up. It was just more kind of detail and development he needed. He seems to have kept the waist small. The thing is with a lot of people are kind of speculating is now he's no longer with Kuwait. Can he bring it? Yeah. Can he even look as good as he did last year, or is he going to look better? So there's a lot of speculation around whether he can keep improving and whether he needed Kuwait to kind of make those improvements. So if he wins this, then obviously it's within him. He can do it wherever he wants, But I'm interested to see if he can keep managing to bring a really good package. Now he's not in Kuwait. I hope he's, because he's in the UK and I think he's moving to America, isn't he?
He's talking about he's looking for a city to settle in. He's not sure where in America he'd like to be, but he definitely wants to be over here at some point soon with his family.
Yeah, well, his sponsors were in America, so it makes perfect sense for being a top 10 Olympia guy. I mean, I had him 5th last year. I think he should have swapped with Roden. Yeah. And, I mean, he's a fantastic. I think he's a future Mr. Olympia. I just hope he keeps managing to. I mean, the kind of improvements he made in the last couple of years, it's impossible to keep making those kinds of leaps. Yeah. Small, steady improvements. The thing is with Nathan, he's very kind of strong-minded about keeping the waist small. He wants to bring a 90s body with the look of today.
More fullness and roundness, yeah.
Yeah, and he is. Yeah. I think he's smart enough to keep the physique, right. And he's got no injuries, top to toe. I mean, he's top 6 really. I mean, I'd be very surprised if he wasn't top 6 Olympia this year. And I think this is. If he doesn't win this, then it's obvious that Kuwait is where he needed to be. But if he does, which I think he will, I think I see him winning this quite clearly, this one.
Well, let me see. You were there at the British when he won that, and that was before he had ever gone to Kuwait. What was his condition like when he won the Brits?
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. And that was a good year. That was the year he beat Sassan, James Hollinshead. Two new pros now since, and that was a really good year. And he weighed 90. He was in the heavyweights. He was actually supposed to do the super heavyweights. Right. He was 106 kilos a week before, and then he dropped down to 99 kilo for the British finals. So what's that? 99 kilos. That's like 220.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 220. So what is he now? 240, 250?
He's about 250. So I mean, Kuwait is where he put on the size, and he's already. I don't think he's going to lose that size. So. Yeah. I don't want to put down Kuwait because he obviously made great improvements there, but I get the sense that he did what he needed to do there. Yeah. And as long as he can just bring the condition in, he's already got that size that he's added, so he should be good to go. Let's mention Michael Kefalianos from Greece, who I'm always surprised that he's still competing because I know he's up there. He's like my age, and he's been around a long time, but condition-wise, he's a very consistent guy. Not the biggest guy compared to some of the taller, heavier guys, but always brings a really, really good condition.
I've never seen him once out of condition, and I've always thought he always gets bad placings. What it is when he comes out, he looks awkward in the front, relaxed. It's not a good pose for him, and his posing has never been good. It looks very amateurish, and it looks like he needs a lot of help with it. But in terms of density and separation and condition and he's very, very impressive. When you see him by himself in like photo shoots, you think, how could anybody beat this guy? Yeah. He's so thick and shredded. I mean, there's a lot to be said for the Mediterranean diet because he lives in Kos in Greece, which is because my dad lives in Cyprus. And there's a lot to be said for that Mediterranean diet. I remember speaking to him once about where he cooks all his food on the grill outside and the barbecue, and it's perfect. You can eat like that all year round, and it's not a struggle. His Mediterranean food is beautiful, So he manages to keep. But I was surprised because he doesn't compete for a couple of years, so I was surprised to see him back. But I'm glad to see him back. I like Mike and Helen. I think they're lovely people. So I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him get a good place. Because some of the placings he's had, I'm baffled by. Yeah, absolutely. Because he is really good. You mentioned the posing. I know that's a pet peeve of yours when these guys, they should all be really master posers at this point in their careers, you would think. Yeah. By the time you get to be a pro competing in shows like this, I think you should have your shit together with the posing, personally. But, my posing as a first-timer was better than some of these pros. And I'm talking in terms of compulsories, posing routines, and I'm someone who never had any coaching, or I never went to anyone. I did it all myself. It's just what you see. I used to watch the Olympia videos, and So it's not hard. I think it's good pose. I mean, good, if you can't hit your compulsories properly, and and you're like in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's like, it takes half an hour to show someone how to hit their compulsories. And I remember when Sybil used to go through Rowley's poses, half an hour every single day. And she used to do a nut. As soon as you get up on stage, you forget it all and just let the adrenaline kick in, and he'd be hunching his shoulders forward when he was doing his most muscular, and she used to go Christmas dance every day, just like it wouldn't. Some people just don't have it in them to for it to, like, they get up there and it's like, they get excited, and it's like they forget everything they've learned. So, it doesn't annoy me.
Okay, so Juan Morel has not been seen on stage since last spring. I think he wasn't happy with a couple of placings he got in the spring shows last year, which he had obviously hoped to win. So he took a whole year off. He's been posting a lot. Upper body looks really full, really dry and tight. With him, those legs, he's got big legs, but his upper body, his shoulder width, his back width, it's so massive and wide. It's hard for his legs to look big enough in comparison to all that. It's got to be frustrating. I'm imagining, but that's another guy that potentially could win this for sure.
Yeah, it depends whether he's made the improvements, doesn't it? Because, I've seen him, I think he did one show last year. I think it was the last one he did, and his condition was way off. He'd obviously just, I think maybe he was annoyed that he didn't maybe win the New York Pro and, got beat by a newcomer, Sergio Oliva Jr.
Right.
It's, and it's like he just kind of gave up, but he is good. It's just, he's got so, like you said, his shoulders, his chest are ridiculously big. And he does lack that kind of lower quad development, which from the front poses is a little bit distracting. But, if he's made the improvements, he'll outsize Nathan. Nathan's big, but, Juan, I've not actually seen Juan on stage. I've never seen him at the Olympia the last 2 years. I've not seen him in a contest, in the flesh. I've only seen pictures and videos. So,
right. You skipped the Olympia, that's right.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He does pretty good conditioning, but to say really, it's. I'd be very surprised if he didn't get second. Yeah. And if Nathan's off and he's improved, absolutely he couldn't beat Nathan. Yeah.
Well, we're forgetting a guy because he's not on the list, and he should be because he's in the show. He was second place last year, Jonathan De La Rosa, which I know you're a fan of. I'm a fan of. I like him as a person, and I like his physique a lot, too. Jonathan he did the show last year on his own without a coach, and he flattened out quite a bit. I believe he lost something like 15 pounds of really just pure muscle mass in the last 3 weeks, it looked like. This time he's working with Justin Miller, who's also working with a couple other guys in the show. And pictures I've seen, he looks right on track. He was very close. I think he was actually at the start of judging last year. It was pretty much neck and neck, him and Sergio sort of got fuller as the show went on and looked a little tighter and pulled ahead of him. But Jonathan was right there for a while. So he also lives like 10 minutes away from the venue. So I know he'd be very happy to walk away with a win here.
Yeah. Well, with John, you said there like he'd lost 15 pounds of muscle in the last 3 weeks, but I bet that was actually good for him because he looks kind of always like he did at the Arnold. We saw him at the Arnold, and I think he always looked like too big. He was too heavy for his frame, and he didn't look crisp. Yeah. And because he's one of those guys that is kind of on the cusp of, he's kind of too big for 212, slightly too small for open. He's got to bring that conditioning. Remember, I think it was a 2014 Europa show he won, and his condition was perfect because when you've got a really beautiful structure like John, that frontal bicep, you've got to bring, but you're not the biggest physically on stage. You've got to bring that separation and condition because he's just, otherwise he just looks too puffy. Yeah. And like his back shots at the Arnold, I was like, oh no, it was all washed out. Right. There was zero. His glutes were shredded, but there was no detail in his back. I think I would have probably said take 10, 15 pounds off that, like Rowley did from the Arnold to the Arnold Australia, and he'll look 10 times better. But maybe he feels insecure being a little bit shorter and a bit more smaller frame than some of the other guys, so thinks he has to come in bigger. Right. If that's the case, then that didn't work for him at the Arnold, and I think he needs to go back to bringing a more detailed physique because that's his best look. That's how he looks his best. But there's a guy, there's a guy that I'd be very surprised if he didn't make top 3.
Yeah, I mean, he should. I hope so. I like him a lot. He's a cool kid.
What's happening with Regan Grimes? Is he doing this stuff?
That's been like all over. Everyone's debating that on social media because he's putting up pictures.
Yeah, is it Toronto?
6 days out, 5 days out, he's doing it. But, the list, the way these shows are now, the list doesn't really get finalized completely until pretty much the day before the show. I don't know why he's not on the list.
Yeah.
He's clearly preparing for the show, and he's much too heavy for Classic because a lot of people keep saying, oh, he's doing Classic. He's like 25, 30 pounds over the weight limit for his height for Classic. So, no,
that kid's huge.
He's not doing Classic, people. Stop it.
No.
Unless you're like Big Ramy, everyone thinks, he should do Classic.
Yeah.
Anyone who's not 300 pounds, whatever. These people are. But I believe Regan is doing it, unless some crazy calamity happens. And I only got to see him last year in Tampa, where you were there too. It was the third show in a row, and his body was already kind of tired. He was flat. His condition was starting to fade on him. So I never got to see Regan at his best. But I know from the earlier show in the season that he did, whatever that was, he does look a lot better when he's fresh and he's at his best. So it'd be interesting to see because kid's got amazing shape.
I think he's really good. And he's only, 25, 26 years old?
25, yeah.
I mean, there's another young athlete that I hope, and from what I see in the photos, all the progress pictures, he seems to be keeping that physique how it should be. He's taking his time. He's not getting, he's not doing, when the guys are doing stupid things to try and add stupid amounts of mass and ruining their physiques. And I don't see that Regan's doing that. So he's someone who's I could always see him in the top 6 in any pro show. And I just hope he just takes his time because he's got a beautiful structure. And I was really impressed with him in Tampa, actually. And he said he looked tired and stuff, but for me, that was the first time I'd seen him. Yeah. And I know his condition wasn't as sharp, but I can see the physique. I can see what's there. And he's got a lot to work with, that kid. He's got a really good future. Interviewed him at the Olympia last year, if you remember, and straight away I can tell he's got a good attitude.
It's funny you say you hope he doesn't rush it and this and that. He's one of the only people that bailed out of Kuwait. I think they would have let him stay there another few months, but he wasn't there that long. I think he was there less than a month, like 2 or 3 weeks, and he came home because they were going to put a lot of size on him, and I don't think he was interested in doing that because it's not the vision he had in his head of where he wants his physique to go.
Speaking out of turn, from what I've heard of what goes on in Kuwait, they're not crazy on that side of things. They don't go crazy. This is what I've kind of learned. And so they're actually quite sensible with that whole thing. I think it's just maybe when they said, we want to get you to 300 pounds, he just thought, I just don't want to be 300 pounds. It's not about taking this or doing that.
Right.
I think it's more a case that he just doesn't want to be that heavy because it's hard. It's a lot of work, and who wants to be 300 pounds, get out of breath, and sleep apnea and all that shit,
Exactly. I mean, we talk about it all the time. The fans think, this guy should get to 300, and a lot of the fans out there, they're like, oh man, I wish I was 300 pounds, but be careful what you wish for. I'm sure a lot of people, if they were actually 300 pounds, they would be hating life every day. It would suck.
Yeah. God, and you can't maintain that. It's hard, especially at 26. I mean, he probably has other interests, and he likes to, you don't want to be at the cinema and out of breath, and catch shaggy messes properly. And
shag. Should we shag now or shag later? All right. Manuel Romero from Venezuela. This guy's been around for a while, but he's really just starting to come into his own over the past couple seasons, where we're seeing he always had really great structure, shape, mass. Condition wasn't really there, but now I know he's working with Milos for this show, and pictures I've seen, he looks like he's on track. So this could be somebody surprises everybody. He could jump in and, who knows? He could even win, for God's sake. Who knows? He's got all the tools.
Do you think he's that good?
He is. It's just been a conditioning issue with him, and it looks to me, based on the recent pictures I've seen, like he's got that handled now. So I'm interested to see how he's going to do.
Do you think he's as good as Rodriguez?
Yeah, I would say so. I would rate him right up there, maybe even better. because
really?
he's got I shouldn't say that. That's not fair. But he's definitely got a wider structure with the wide clavicles and narrow waist. He's got a really good X frame. I mean, the first time I saw him compete, I don't remember which show it was, but his condition wasn't great. But I could see the potential. I could see this guy could be really. He's got better structure, better mass than almost anybody up there. It's just he's not in shape.
Did he do Tampa last year?
I don't know. I should have researched this better, but no, I'm not sure. I've seen him a few times, and he's never been. I've never seen. I know he's been in shape a few times, but I haven't been there for those shows.
Yeah.
Next guy is interesting because Milan Sadiq was a 212, and everyone's saying he was too tall for 212. Well, here he goes in the open class. I don't know if he's got enough mass to hang with these bigger guys. I know he's got a great shape, condition, legs are phenomenal, but I would be concerned that he's not big enough to stand next to guys like Nathan and like Juan Morel and Bayeki. And yeah, I mean, you've known Milan for a while. How do you think he might fare in the Open this time?
We had him on the show last week on Muscle News Weekly. He's 29 years old. He really struggled to make 212 last year. The thing is, this kid got sixth at the Olympia in the 212, and he said he laughed because he said he was the tallest on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, he struggled to make it down to 212. He's one of these ones, he's not going thinking he's going to win this show. He's going because he just can't be a 212 anymore, but he wants to keep competing. And he knows why waste a year holding back, trying to maybe win a couple of 212 shows when he'd rather test himself and let his body grow. So the thing is, he might be, I haven't checked his body weights of what he is, but he looks kind of not dramatically different from when he did the 212 last year. So maybe he'll be, even if he's like 8 pounds, 10 pounds, it looks good on him. It looks he's as detailed as when he did the 212 because he won the Charlotte Pro last year. Yeah. He got third in the 212 at the New York Pro last year behind Ronnie Raquel and Sean Clarida.
Right.
So this is, he's very, very complete, very detailed. I kind of got 6 to 8 in my head. And I think he'd be happy with that because he's 29 and he's one of the, because he sent me a message and he says, thank you. He says, I'm glad you, when me and Rosie talked about him afterwards, he says, I'm really glad you seem to get what I'm trying to do with my physique. So this isn't the guy that's wanting to come in 250 and, win every show this year in the Open. I think he sees it more a long-term plan here. I think if he gets 6 to 8, he's going to be happy. I think he said he's doing Toronto. Yep. And I think he's one of these ones that maybe thinks, okay, maybe another 2-3 years or whatever, that's when I'll really be making my mark as an Open Pro. Because, he had a great year last year as a 212. He won pro shows, third at the New York Pro, sixth. First, third, and sixth in your first year, beating guys in the Charlotte Pro, like Craig Richardson, Nicholas Vulud. I can't say his name. I don't say his name. I'll just do a little voicemail. How do you say your name? Nicholas V. So I think Milan's one of those ones that in another year to 2 years, he's going to be very, very dangerous as an Open Pro. Yeah. Yes, if he comes in, like some of these guys, even guys like Juan Morel, if they come in really off, right, or they're detailed head to toe, this guy will take him apart because he's one of those ones that you probably scan him in the light. The judges will look in the lineup and he won't stand out. But when they call him out, maybe second, third call out, that's they'll realize how complete this kid is because I love his detail. I love his physique. Yeah. You could see really, and the thing is, he's a top 6 Olympia competitor. Yeah. So he's not going to get blown away by anyone here. So I would love to see him get 5th, 6th. But I would say, 5th to 8th.
You're a condition freak, and this kid brings the condition every time. I always respect that because that's hard work. Which leads us to the last guy I want to talk about in the Open because if this guy Akim Williams ever brought crazy condition, my goodness.
Yes.
He comes to the show last year straight from Kuwait. I think he'd been back for like 4 days. So everyone's thinking, wow, he was in Kuwait for 3 months. Oh boy, we can't wait to see how great he's going to look. And wow, he was not in shape. I think he was 5th. I had him a good 2 or 3 spots lower. And Akim, okay. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be offensive to you. It's just all the size in the world, great structure, great shape. But yeah, come on, dude, please come in shape. Please come in with some dry striated condition. That's what I would love to see out of this guy, because what a mass monster he is.
What do you think happened? Because the Q8 guys would not let him leave Q8 if he wasn't. They checked those guys.
What are they going to do? Keep him, hold his passport?
I'm telling you, I think that was some last minute fuck up. That's what that says to me, because they wouldn't. If he was that out of condition and he wasn't looking, then it was maybe flying or he was eating the wrong foods or something went wrong, because it sounds to me like he should have got to America maybe a couple of weeks before, maybe getting back 4 days before. I mean, from Q8 to America, I would have insisted a week before, and then he had his coach with him, you know, because someone like that, I mean, he must have really, must have like smoothed out.
Don't quote me, but I seem to recall something about him trying to fill out on a bunch of junk food. But, you know, I'm not 100% sure about my memory on that one. I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like to me.
Ron, we've done that. You and me have done that. I've done it.
Sure.
And sometimes it works, and you panic. I mean, how many times you say, "Oh, I feel flat," and then you go and eat a cheeseburger or a pizza or something, and you feel like. And the thing is, in one in maybe 5 times, it works beautifully, and you look great. And then the other times, you just go, "Oh, fuck!"
You look like ass.
Yeah, you look shit. You're terrible. So you know, he obviously tried. Thing is, they, especially the guys with all this that big, they go slightly flat. They panic. And it's hard. I mean, Zach used to be like that. I've heard rumors of him eating pizzas 2 weeks out because he felt skinny, or you know, he's like 2'8", he felt skinny, and he's like, boo hoo.
Yeah, skinny.
You know?
Okay, so let's move on to the 212 division. Pretty big lineup here. I don't recognize a ton of names. I'm going alphabetically. Ahmad from Iraq. Very good. He's very good. You just saw him not that long ago, right?
Yeah, he did. What was the last? It was the New Zealand, wasn't it? There was New Zealand. There was.
That's right. Didn't he win? He won that, right?
Fiji. There was Fiji. Yeah. There was. Up against Samuel Haddad, and I think he got. I think he got top 3 in one of the last. I think he got second.
Yeah.
And he was one of these guys a few years ago. He's got these, like Derek Lunsford, he's got these crazy wide shoulders, really thick, really bumpy abs, great upper body, but he looked really light in the legs. And I always thought that's why he's made 212, but he's actually quite light. He's only about 200 pounds. And then I did an interview with him 4 years ago for a column, and I said, "So you brought your legs up?" I said, "You've done it." I said, "How did you do it?" And he says, "Well, he told me about nutrient timing and all these different ways that he higher reps, higher volume, and he said I throw everything at them, high weight, low weight, you know, high reps, everything." Yeah. And he brought his legs, and he's really looking complete now. He's looking really complete, and his conditioning. I love his conditioning, and it's like that hands on hip one. I mean, he just. Yeah. He looks incredible. Kind of reminds me of that Antoine Valant picture that I put up in the Muscle News Weekly show, and kind of thick shoulders, small waist. I'd be very, very surprised. I mean, do you want to go through your top 3, or do you want to go through the names?
I'll just go through the names, because next up is a guy from Germany who you also saw. You saw him in, was it San Marino, the Steve Benton? The guy that turned pro that same day?
No. This is a guy. This is a different guy. Steve Benton's been around a few years. He's from Germany.
Right.
And I've seen him compete. And I remember because he did the Prague last year. And in coming into it, no one was talking about him. And I said, "Do you remember the wrong line?" I said, "Oh, Steve Benton's pretty good." I said, "If he comes in, he's always in condition." I said, "If he comes in really good." And he took second. He took second to Ricardo.
Yeah.
He beat a lot of the other good names. I mean, he was fresh because obviously Prague is one of the last 212 shows. Right. And yes, he's very, very good, very complete. He was actually, I believe he was an open, and then he switched to 212. But he's another one like Milan Sadiq, you know, that very complete. There's no freaky body parts, but everything's striated, everything's detailed. And he absolutely is he would easily be in top 5, top 6. I'd be very surprised. Potentially, maybe he could squeeze in the top 3 if he turns up as good as he did at Prague.
Yeah. But
he's I love his detail. I love his detail. The deep separations, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we see a lot more of that from the European guys in general. That muscle quality for whatever reason.
No McDonald's.
So Sean Clarita is coming back. Sean was second to Ronnie Raquel last year, and I was at the show, and it was neck and neck. I honestly didn't know after judging which way they were going to go, and I was really would not have been surprised one bit if Sean had won. You know, he's made such improvements. I think he's still only maybe 180 pounds or less, but I mean
less,
but he's like 5 foot tall. So
he's about, I think he weighed 167 or 170 in his last show at the Olympia. I think it was the Olympia. I'm sure he said he was 167.
Wow, I mean, you would never know. He looks massive, you know. But
you know, the thing with Sean is he constantly posts his progression pictures, and the thing is, every single year, every single show, you can see a big difference. I mean, this kid at 170 won the Dallas last year, Europa. Yeah. And the thing is, he's given up 40 pounds to some of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, he took 9th at the Olympia. And to be honest, I had 3 guys in mind that I thought could make top 6 at the Olympia. I mean, obviously, Derek Lunsford came along.
Yeah.
I had Ricardo Correa, Milan Sadiq, or Sean Clarendon. I thought any one of those 3 guys could make top 6. Milan did, and Sean kind of got 9th. And I thought maybe, I personally, I would have had him maybe a couple of spots higher.
Yeah.
But to me, he's coming in as the favourite. I think, he's, because you like the Zane guy, don't you?
I do. You know, that's not to say that I don't think, you know, I like Sean. I think Sean's got a hell of a physique, really nice shape, real bubbly, round look to his muscles. Yeah. I mean, out of all the guys I'm looking at on this list, maybe the only one that compares, and we can talk about him next, is Silvio Samuel. He's the only one, and his last show he didn't have that, but I think that was like a blooper. He's coming back. The pictures I've seen of Silvio lately, he looks like he's got some of that roundness and fullness back that he was known for.
Okay.
But it's interesting to see because Silvio is a guy at his best. He would be blowing this show away. Silvio was damn good. He was an open competitor, obviously. He wasn't doing 212 back then. Do you think? What do you think about Silvio being at 212? Do you think that's a good move or a bad move for him?
Well, you know, Silvio was the first ever lighter division show winner.
That's right. It was 202 back then.
It was 2007, and I remember Will Harris won the Open, and they did a 210, didn't they? They did a 210. Because before it went 210,
that's right.
202 for 2 years, and then 212.
I think 210, that was the only show where they had that random ass 210 weight limit.
Yeah, they were trialing it out, and but I thought did they do an overall as well? I'm not sure whether they might have done an overall.
I don't think they did. No.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, but Silvio, I saw some pictures of the was it the Indy Pro he did? Was it the Indy?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Indy. Yeah, he looked good. Obviously, I mean, if you say he's, you know, the thing is, he probably needs a couple of shows to come back, you know. Yeah. But he was. I mean, he was a top 10 Olympia competitor. He got 8th in the Olympia, didn't he? A couple of times. 2007, I think he was 8th.
He won a few shows. I remember him winning the Ironman Pro. I think the Houston Pro. He was very good there for a while. You know, he was part of the Milos crew. Milos training all those guys like Dennis Wolf and Hide and Dennis James. I mean, that was a good era for him. He had that crazy round fullness, real pop to his muscles. I don't see that anymore with him. But then again, he was away in prison for a couple of years, so wasn't training, wasn't eating the right way. So it probably is going to take him a little longer to get his groove back, I think.
Yeah, well, sometimes with these older guys, it's like Tony Freeman when he's like competing in the mid-40s. He'd do like 6 shows, and it literally start off quite like some pros. They start off really bad and they work, but good, and they get worse. Yeah. Tony would do a show, and he'd get better every single one. And so maybe he does need a couple more shows to get in the swing of things. So I'd love to see him because I like those big round physiques, but I like to see the separation. I always felt he lacked a bit of separation in his quads. And maybe coming into the 212, he will have that conditioning and he will have that separation and that quality. Plus, when you've got that muscle maturity, that he's got that in his favor as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I would love to see. Yeah, I'm very surprised if he didn't make top 6. I mean, it's yeah.
So we got this Steve Laureus, who just made his debut in classic physique at the Pittsburgh show, and he won that. He's 5'10", 200. Yeah, he's 5'10", 210 pounds, and he's doing the 212 at the New York Pro.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, he's got a beautiful physique. I got to see a 5'10" guy up there at the 212 division and see how this goes, you know?
I've seen the pictures. He has got a very, very good physique. It's very aesthetic. He's got huge body parts. Like his arms are massive. He's got a tiny little waist. He poses well. He doesn't look small to me.
His bones must weigh nothing at all. That's my guess.
He looks like he's holding the kind of muscle that George Peterson or even Breon. I mean, Breon's quite a thickly muscled kid when you actually look at him. I mean, but he looks... He almost looks like more like a classic, a 212 than a classic to me. He does look good, but the thing is, if he's 5'10", I don't know. It's I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I
don't know.
Him next to Sean Clarita. I want to see that call out.
Wow.
Not making fun of anybody, but that'd be just interesting. So the last guy I want to talk about in 212 is Canadian Zane Watson, who I just did a run line with last week. So Zane did the Arnold Classic last year. I think he was 5th. It was a really strong showing for him, but he knew he wasn't ready for the Olympia or anything. He knew he needed more upper body mass. Took off over a year, so this is his first show back since March of 2017. Pictures, I've been putting up pictures on that thread with his Ronline interview. Should I stop saying Ronline? Is that douchey to keep saying that? But
no, that's the name of the show.
But I think he's going to do really well. Condition-wise, he's got a real old-school type of physique, which is, his dad was an old-school, late 70s into the mid-80s top international amateur bodybuilder, so it's no surprise. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how he's going to do, because there's some very different physiques in the 212 at this show. It's going to be apples, oranges, pears, and all kinds of fruits up there.
How old is Zane? Zane
is 29.
29. He's perfect. So he's kind of in the peak of his. He's going to be improving rapidly.
Right.
I remember seeing some. I think with the Arnold Classic he did last year, and I was saying that they loved his posing, and I was like, yeah, his posing is it's kind of the kind of level of posing I kind of expect from all the competitors. But
we don't.
Yeah, he kind of stood out because posing's pretty shocking nowadays, but. Yeah, he looks good, nice structure. I felt like he needed a bit more arms last year, but maybe he's made those improvements.
He did, and that's exactly what he needed, and he recognized it. And I'm a little jealous because I've needed to bring up my arms for 50, 60 years now, and he did it in like 1 year. But good for him. So let's see how he does. last division let's talk about is classic.
Hang on.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
There's one guy in the 212 called Volstek.
I saw that. I don't know who he is. Tell me all about him.
He's very, very, very good.
Wojtek Korytensky from Czech Republic.
Yeah, he's really good. Watch out for him. He's done top 3 in quite a few American pro shows.
Really?
And he never comes in off, so there's a guy that will probably be sneaking into the top 6 quite happily there.
Has he been doing smaller shows? Because he's somebody I'm not really even familiar with the name.
He's done Dallas. I'm surprised you don't actually, because he's done Dallas. He's done top 3 in some like American 212s. If you look back at the results, if you type him in the website, and you'll see a lot of big shows that he's done that he places. He always makes top 6. I've never seen him outside of the top 6. I think once. But he's a really like thick, chunky guy. Really little freaky bastard.
The last time you told me to look out for somebody I'd never heard of, it was Kamal Elgar. So I'm gonna take your word on this one, Giles.
Yeah.
You seem to know some of these guys who are going to do damage that I was unaware of.
Hey, Giles, are you sure you want to interview Kamal? Is he even pro? Yeah, you really need to interview this guy.
I was like, Giles, don't interview him. I never heard of him. Don't waste your time. We got other people to do it now. You were right.
Yeah, it's like then when he won, Steve's like, quick, go and interview him again backstage. I was like, okay, I'll interview him again. I don't care. I think I interviewed him 3 times, didn't we?
We did. Then we got him on that last day we were there when everybody was already gone at the restaurant.
Yeah. I think me and Rosie are going to go down and see him soon because Rosie wants to go do some training with him. We're going to film it for the both shows we do, the Muscle News Weekly and the Tiger Rascal show. I think we want to get there. And he says, yeah, come down and see us. So.
Yeah. So classic physique, definitely one of the favorites is Germany's David Hoffman. He's been around a little while, and this kid is really put together. I mean, you look at him, and the word classic just jumps out at you immediately.
Yeah.
Just the shape and the structure on this kid. I remember it took him a while to turn pro, I believe. He was a top amateur for a while, but Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if he's not the winner. He's definitely going to be up in the top three, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking to David today actually on Instagram because I'm going to get him on the show. But see, he was the reason he took so long to turn pro was because he had a classic physique and he was competing as a super heavyweight.
Right.
So he was a guy that, along with Roman Fritz, they did the Amateur Olympia, and it's kind of, you know, like when the 212, the 202 was brought along for Flex Lewis, like the classic for the women's physique for like Rosie when she was competing in bodybuilding. These classes sometimes come along for these athletes, and you think this has been tailor-made for them.
Yeah.
So someone like David Hoffman, for the classic to come along just at the right time for him, you know, it's kind of like the perfect class for him to do and the perfect time for him to do it. So yeah, I think he's going to be an absolute fun. I'm interested to see how he looks as a classic competitor. So
because you said he was a super heavy, so he must have had to downsize for this.
I don't see in the photos he doesn't look any smaller, but I think he's very detailed. So maybe he looks big and got small joints. So maybe he looks bigger, but he will look perfect as a classic. I mean, I think he would have been like top six, probably would have made top six Olympia last year at his best, because he's you know, and he poses classically. He's kind of like what they want for the class. He's like Chris Bumstead, you know, he looks, that's what we want for classic, you know?
Right.
That's what, when the class was created.
So let's talk, the next guy I want to talk about, I'm excited to see how he's going to do, is Amit Roy from India, well, New Jersey now, because I just did an interview with him. I've known Amit for a few years. He was a bodybuilder. He won a bunch of regional shows in, you know, New York, he won the Boston show. And then I saw him last September. He decided to do classic physique for the first time at the North American Championships, and he won the overall. He won his class and the overall. You know, he's not the biggest guy, but structure, shape, right on, little tiny waist, obviously very tiny joints, and condition is always spot on. He actually won the North American at probably about 80 to 85% of his best, because he had just been in the hospital with the torn glute and infection, and you know, his condition wasn't what I was used to seeing on him, but it was still good enough to win, which makes me think, now that he's had all this time to get things properly together, I'm interested to see how he's going to do. Yeah, I mean, he's a new guy. This is his first pro show. We'll see. And the last guy I guess we'll talk about is runner-up at Pittsburgh, Divine Wilson. Great name. There was a controversy.
He walked off stage.
Off stage. He was very upset that he didn't win. Which, you know, I know they all want to win, but hell of a physique on him, that's for sure. Amazing shape and structure, classic flowing lines, very aesthetic. So he's definitely going to be up there again. There's
a lot of new names in this class. I mean, the thing is, that's with most classic shows now, it's good to see so many entrants, but it's good to see so many new people coming into the class. I mean, I remember at the Arnold, and there was like maybe 30 guys on stage, and
it was 32. It was a lot of guys.
I recognized maybe 5, and it was all the rest were all new faces, and there was that guy, Courage. He was a new face. I was like, oh my God, once he gets a bit harder, he's going to be a real...
Agreed.
You know, that guy's, you know, he's going to be battling out the Olympia, you know. But I think the Olympia this year is going to be a totally different ball game for the Classic, because it's growing so fast at the moment. I'm so impressed with it. Some of the guys, I think everyone's going on about like Brion versus Chris Bumstead, and it's like, I think you're going to see other guys that... You know, I think everyone's just thinking that those two guys are going to be 1 and 2 again. I'm telling you, there's that many good new guys coming through in the Classic. Right. Really good guys. I mean, that guy that won the Two Bros Pro, what's his name? The big, looks like an Arnold type guy. What's his name? Wesley Visser.
Right.
I mean, there's a guy that looks... I saw something on Instagram and they said, we want this guy as Mr. Olympia and all this. And it's like, it's fantastic.
And I mean, even at the Arnold, I mean, Arash Rabar, he looked phenomenal. That's the best I've ever seen him. So some of these guys who you think might be on the downslide because we have all the new talent coming up, some of them are stepping up their game and getting much better, because I think they recognize this division is no joke, and it's only going to get more and more competitive and tougher. So I think guys like that, they realize, if I want to be a top guy, I better work my ass off here.
For me, Arash looked too big for classic. I found it hard to believe how he even made weight. He was huge. Yeah. I mean, his radial bicep, his shoulders were just like.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Huge. I mean, Brion looked tiny next to him, but when Brion did that lovely frontal bicep and the angle of the lats and the lines and stuff, you can see, that's more classic, But Arash really gave him a run for his money.
Yeah, I mean, I like classic because it's not. It's for guys. We came up admiring the guys of the 80s and the 90s that were all about the proportions and the small waists and those nice tapers and the round delts and Barry DeMay. I mean, so many. Brian Buchanan. You could go on and on. Even Lee Haney. I mean, we didn't see much of that in open bodybuilding for a while, and this is really bringing that back.
The thing is, people used to say like Lee Haney was like the first mass monster of his time, but he was kind of classic, wasn't he? When he did that twisting bicep pose, he had a tiny little waist.
He had a 30 or 31 inch waist at 250 pounds on stage. So
crazy.
You're never going to see that again.
He was
I think Cedric might have a similar small waist for his size.
Yeah, Lee Haney was the Ronnie of the 80s, wasn't he? He was like that.
Yeah. The Ronnie of the 80s. Yeah, for sure. Well, that unfortunately, this is nothing against figure bikini, but I wasn't too familiar with too many of the names there. I wish them all the best. I'll be doing the play-by-play on all the divisions. I wish you were coming out for this one, Giles. These shows aren't the same without you.
We'll be doing our show on. We'll be busy doing our show on Sunday, episode 11. Can you believe we're up to episode 11 already?
I know, time flies, huh? How many Tiger and Rascal episodes have you had?
10.
10, wow.
So,
those are tougher to put together, I would think.
Not really?
No, I mean, it seems like
probably.
Variety of footage.
Yeah, because it's half an hour. It takes me. I think the episode 9 took me 18 hours to edit, and I think the episode 10 took me about 9. So, but the Moscow News Weekly takes me about 5-6 hours to edit. So,
okay.
not too bad.
They're both great. They're different shows, but they're great in their own way. Eagerly anticipate every episode.
Yeah.
That'll wrap it up for this New York Pro preview with Giles Tiger Thomas, special edition of the Ron Line Report. I will be bringing you all the coverage from New York starting Saturday morning. Courage. Okay, now I'm thinking of that guy's name. Coverage brought to you by High Tech. Need to throw that out there because without High Tech, we wouldn't have this awesome contest coverage that we have. Appreciate that, guys. Yeah. Thank you, Giles, for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing more and more of Muscle News Weekly and, of course, the Tiger and Rascal Show. Yes. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Catch you in New York.